welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the broadcast here, the Kiev Major European Qualifier action continuing to come at you here. What is now a following matchup here. We got two really good teams going at it. This is definitely one of the more hyped matches, I'm sure, of the group stages. We got Alliance taking on Team Secret here. And now this one-game series. So really looking forward to this one. I'm Breaky CPK, and I'm joined by my co-caster this time around, CCNC. How's it going, man?
It's good, pretty good. Yeah, like you said, I think these are two of the better teams. Teams with like more well-known players. Teams that actually have fans behind them. A lot of these other teams are like kind of not so well-known. A lot of like pub stacks that just happen to have good players, whereas these teams are like a lot of well-known players that have been around the scene for a while.
Yeah, both these sides definitely have the fan base, it's safe to say, and Secret's now one of the favorites. Again, we've been kind of stressing this throughout, but Alliance, they're kind of one of these teams maybe we expect to make the playoffs, but honestly, they've been having some disappointing results as of late, and a lot of events have been happening. So I know they would love for this event to go very positive for them, to maybe shut up the doubters, you could say. And they are starting off with the victory. Obviously, they did take out Bean Boys in their first game, but safe to say definitely a step up here as far as the matchup goes. But they got Juggernaut, Ogre, Magi on their side to start, so pretty typical stuff here.
Yeah, I think the Ogre first two a little less common. I've seen some of these EU teams go for it. There was a game a little bit earlier, I think it was NIP versus somebody, where they had taken the Ogre against the Centaur. Or no, they had it with it. Okay, never mind.
Reserve time.
But yeah, it's not super common to take the Ogre first phase. I also think it's more common to take it on Radiant side if you are going to pick it, because it's a little bit easier to harass the mid lane, like significantly easier, just because of how the hills work. It's much easier for you to like stand up on the hill and just beat them back towards the tower, whereas Dire, they can almost always get XP at the very least. So it's kind of interesting to take it first two on Dire.
Okay. We got Witch Doctor, third pick on the other side for Team Secret, so a good support option there. They go with the Centaur and that Slaughter. Again, Slaughter in general, we've not only been seeing him quite a bit, but especially as a 4 option, feels like it's kind of been his new home here. So you got both the supports. You figure you got the Centaur on the offlane is, again, what you'd have to put as far as a guess goes. Crystal Maiden, that's the third pick for Alliance. Another support that's been picking up a lot of steam here.
Yeah, has been getting a lot more popularity. She farms super fast. The Arcane Aura is really nice, and also can like do some stuff later on if she gets a couple items and is able to like hold the ult down and for a reasonable time in a team fight, can definitely put in some work. I think the Witch Doctor Slaughter is pretty nice. The physical damage amp with the Death Ward like puts in a lot of work, especially on like some Juggernaut early on. If he's like spinning in team fight, doesn't have the Manta yet, just as like has the HOD and working on that Manta, can get melted really quickly by the Death Ward and the amp damage.
Interesting couple of picks there. You figure both mid options for both teams. The Ember Spirit coming out and then into a Magnus response from Alliance. They went with that Magnus pretty quickly, so pretty certain that they wanted that pick, it seems like.
Yeah, the Ogre Magnus and then 2 right-clicking cores is something that is like very, very popular in European pubs, and I think it's something they think is very strong. You just mega buff up these cores and have them be extremely strong. You farm super fast with the Empower as well as the Bloodlust. They also, scale obviously very well late game. You always have this this RP to potentially win you team fights, although typically whenever you run a Magnus, you want to have some other initiator that can go in first, and the Magnus goes in second, so we can get a good RP. It doesn't have to force things on just 1 or 2 heroes. And since Alliance does have that Juggernaut, we'll see if they go for something like an LC mid, maybe for Limp. I think it's some hero that they prioritize quite a bit and can be very nice to have with the Magnus. Obviously melee and a hero that, they've actually banned it out.
Alliances turn to
Secret having the same mindset there, so not wanting to give yet another buff to, say, that Juggernaut especially. So going to take away the LC option, but now the final ban for Alliance, it will be a Slark actually, and then a very quick Silencer pick. So again, not using much reserve time. They're pretty confident with their draft.
Yeah, I think this the Silencer pick is actually very good. It shores up their lanes quite a bit. With the Ember Spirit and the Slaughter having the roaming potential on mid, it's a little spooky. I think you don't want some hero that lets the Ember have like a decent start and then people can kind of just roll up to the lane and punish whatever mid hero. And Silencer has a super good time versus Ember in the lane. Because the glaives don't
Reserve
pull
time.
aggro, you can just constantly right-click him down, and he doesn't really have an answer for it. He'll have a decent first wave, as you can just flame guard down the wave, but as it goes later and later, he's going to
10
eventually just have to
seconds
retreat to the
remaining.
jungle, or
Templar
people are going to have to
assassin.
Oh, okay. Alright,
There's
so
a curveball.
alright, so that's a little bit of an adjustment by Secret, not wanting to let their mid lane just get dumped on like that. So they give mid one the TA. It's definitely a very nice TA game. Only one hero with catch on Alliance, so we'll have a pretty nice time in the mid game. It also is one of the heroes that can actually do decently well versus Silencer, a hero that's pretty well known for being sort of a 1v1 bodying legend.
Not as concerned about that. So the silencer. So where do we expect the silencer to end up? Where you're getting? Is this going to be a mid silencer even? Or?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mid silencer.
Prepare
It's a
for
hero that
battle.
benefits quite a bit from the blood loss. Not the most from the empower, but at the very least is a right-clicking core, and it also gives you considerably more team fight. So if you don't have that second initiator to go in first, the Magnus can go in after. Having the silencer to have the Magnus jump in and then take away all that counterplay potential. You just jump in on RP and then global, and then you can sort of do whatever you want, kill that hero, and then the fight can, whatever happens afterwards.
All right.
It's a very nice combo.
Controller from there. So I'm noticing too, Jonathan Fan actually shortening his name quite a bit. I don't know, it's JSF. Interesting there. Haven't watched these guys for a while, but of course I'm familiar with several of these players, so it's always fun to see some familiar names here. Loaded though on his role, the
30
Juggernaut at the
seconds to
top
battle.
lane, and a lot of early wards going down yet again. It looks like Slaughter got up here really quickly in the dire jungle, got a very aggressive ward. Spot any roams, I guess. Be coming out here.
Yeah, I think they want the lane up top with this dual lane. It looks like they are going to be doing that. It'll potentially keep this Ogre up top line. If the Ogre doesn't come there, then I think they'll have a pretty nice time. The Juggernaut CM has a decent amount of kill potential
battle
onto the
begins.
Centaur once Jug gets like level 3 spin, or he potentially gets harassed down. But as far as just sitting in the lane and last hitting goes, Alliance can only really full commit onto these heroes, or they're not going to be able to zone them. They can only really kill them, or just leave them be. So the Ogre definitely wants to sit mid and mess with this TA, so they're going to take advantage of that and potentially punish top and get as much as they can on this Centaur. I guess Puppey has the potential to hang around mid and maybe help out mid one, although I don't know how much he does really versus an Ogre sitting there whomping on the TA while the Silencer farms.
Yeah. For now, he does have those boots first, of course, so of course the Crush ready to go. See how he manages to sit in this middle lane as you're getting at. It's going to have a restart from the Ogre Magi right here, but Witch Doctor, he's sitting up at the bottom lane. Witch Doctor, I feel like, has potential to go two kind of different builds. I mean, either the Voodoo Restoration route or the Maledict route. Is there either one you think would make more sense here?
I think he probably just gets like one or probably a value points and heal this game. I don't think it does particularly that much. Alliance is all about jumping in and blowing up a hero or multiple heroes with the global and like taking these very, very quick fights. And Secret's sort of the same vein. They have 2 Blink Initiators. Slaughter's Blink will come a little bit later, but they have a lot of burst damage, and I think the Maledict extra damage will put it in some mileage. It's a little different from usual. The Magnus, we've seen a lot of offlaners recently go for this PMS starting, and then just having the Tango. But actually goes for the Stout Shield and the 2 sets of regen, so a little bit easier to harass here. And Pilot taking the Maledict level 1 is putting a decent amount of harass on him.
Yeah, usually not considered a very powerful tool, the Maledict level 1, but like you said, making him forcing out a lot of regen really is kind of the idea with that. Meanwhile, middle lane, mid 1 is finding himself being heavily harassed here. So yeah, Puppey, I mean, he's here, but exactly how much of a threat is he really going to be? And it's clearly proving right now it's not the greatest threat, as they're not afraid to run at that TA and do plenty of damage. So going to be popping out the regen himself and healing back up, but still on the silencer. This is a very aggressive support mid lane here.
Yeah, it's actually a little interesting for mid one. A little bit of an adjustment here. It actually took the meld level 1 so we could dodge the ignites, because it doesn't hit you whenever you go into invis. So took down the amount of harass he was taking just a little bit. And like you said, the Slaughter helping him out level 1. So TA is a hero that doesn't really like to have these just random heroes sitting in her lane, likes 1v1s, which he thrives in quite a bit. So not like super happy with the start. that she's getting right now, but eventually she'll be able to go into the jungle anyway once she gets you know, 2 or 3 levels in the refraction. So I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but it's definitely not what you want as a TA.
Yeah, that glaive harassment from Silence are proven to be really powerful as well. You talk about the idea that it doesn't aggro the creeps, of course, onto him, so he's really abusing that fact and putting a lot of pressure again onto TA as well as the Ogre. So definitely a tough start, but again, keep an eye on that. See how he progresses throughout this game and recovers more so. Centaur's now made his way into the jungle. Start farming up with that double edge level 1 of his. And try to recover, because clearly the top lane is probably a little bit too much of an issue with that Crystal Maiden. And Juggernaut bottom lane, meanwhile, Magnus. Oh, he's going to skewer, but he brings the MP with him on the Ember Spirit. Another auto attack, and then the Maledict helping to tick him down. Still level 1, but more than enough damage there.
Yeah, I think it was a nice kill there. I think Alliance's supports really want to try and enable their cores early on, like we talked about. Whenever you run this Ogre Magnus sort of a strat, you want your cores to definitely be enabled. So the CM, I think, is going to babysit Juggernaut top a fair amount, at least hang around here. So if the Centaur comes over, they have kill potential. You can farm some hard camps in the meantime. As KZU trying to pull some creeps over. Juggernaut actually walking over, but he should be fine. Yeah, and then the enhanced skin camping mid with Limp. So try to enable these cores early on, but the Magnus is definitely going to be left out in the cold as Puppy.
Yeah, way too much damage. The Ignite even being level, well, it's level 2 actually. More than enough damage to help assist for the kill right there. And Silencer throwing in some glaives of that wisdom and ends up getting the kill as a result. So ties it up at 1 hero kill apiece now. Good back and forth there, but yeah, middle matchup. I mean, TA's 10-5 managing all right. That's actually bottom lane Pilot die. Get some support from Puppy. The skewer in though will land, but doesn't have enough follow-up. Has a level 2 shockwave. It goes off, gets the kill, but at what cost? Jonas and Fan going too deep, and he will end up dying in return. I mean, is that worth it? The fact that he gets the kill at least?
I don't know if it's worth it. It's probably not. The kill goes to Puppy, so it's speeding up the Blink Dagger a little bit. Puppy will get some levels off of that. I think at the very least the Magnus gets his level 4. KZU actually gets a solo kill on EGM.
Runs down Crystal Maiden, and obviously double edge, plenty of damage. Even level 2. More than enough to get him killed right there. I was going for that 4-minute bounty rune, which I think Crystal Maiden did get, but obviously came at a cost for his life there. And now Puppy again being ran down. This level 2 Ignite doing so much damage alive for the auto attacks. However, Hanskin may be going too deep. He takes the cast down. The Maledict is up. Level 1 still. He has that haste and he should be fine. Not the most Maledict damage.
Yeah, he said should be fine. But I think the amount of times this Magnus has gone down is a little bit worrisome for Alliance. He has actually put 2 points into the Shockwave, something we haven't seen too much lately. We've seen a lot of players like Moon and Ice who've been playing this Magnus a little bit more in the offlane have been going just for like 1 or 2 points, scaling up the Empower a little bit more, and then sort of going to the jungle.
Between Ignite and the Arcane Curse, I mean, he tried to meld right there to live, but obviously unable to. They have a sentry down anyways. He still dies. This middle lane really proven to do work, actually, and definitely, I know you're suggesting that it's proven to be actually a good pick with that final pick, but man, is it even doing better than you expected?
I think it's doing about as you'd expect. His CS isn't actually that amazing. 22 to the TA's 18, so although they have gotten the kill there and the TA's definitely not having a super fun time, it's constantly getting harassed down. He's actually CSing quite well in mid one, which is pretty impressive that he is doing this well in the lane. And I think it's I think the Silencer is doing decently well for himself. But I think it's pretty important that they shut this TA down as much as possible. You can see Ogre sitting there for 4 or 5 minutes of the game. A lot of times you'll see him come there and just sort of start the first wave and then rotate off. But shutting down this TA, I think, is probably the most important hero for Secret to be doing well. It's a hero that, it's really their only response so much for this Juggernaut. They have the amplified damage and the Death Ward, but that's not the greatest answer in the world. You really want this TA to come online, as she is basically all of Radiant's right-click damage, all their tower push. So I think they really want to play around mid one this game and give him as much space as possible, while the other heroes can sort of go around and do stuff. Ember Spirit, a hero that can, safe laner that can make moves a reasonable amount early on. So I think now that this Magnus is going to probably start retreating to the jungle more now that NP is 6. And mid one will be able to free back to the jungle and just try and farm out some items meanwhile.
We're going to try to collapse right here. The Omni Slash, all 3 bounces onto him, onto KZU that is, and Loda will spin on top of him to secure that kill. So good execution as far as the flank position being set up right there. ultimately guaranteeing the kill onto the Centaur, and of course slowing him down from his progress, whatever he tends to go, either that Blink Dagger or now the Hood of Defiance. Consider pretty good on him too, of course helps his farm potential. And just in general, good mitigation. Middle lane, though, signs of this could be a big kill. Will it happen? Global Silence comes out. It's not going to be enough to save him, though, but I might come in for some turn kills. Not enough damage, though. The Shockwave going through level 3, but Hanskin actually does get credit for the kill on Amber Spirit as the Ignite takes him down, running away. So they do get a turn kill when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it was a really nice rotation from NP repping behind the tower to bring down the Silencer, and it's a core that does not come back very well. Talked about him being very, very good in the lane and can destroy a lot of low-range heroes by just right-clicking down with the glaives, but if he falls behind, if he gets ganked a lot early on, it isn't snowballing, isn't winning team fights consistently, that it's a hero that has no defensive mechanisms, doesn't really build a defensive mechanism that quickly, goes for the Force Staff, but that takes some time to get to, and before then, you're just sort of sitting ducks for any of these rotations from the Slaughter, from the Ember Spirit wrapping behind the tower like we saw, so it's a really good rotation from Secret, and you know, like we talked about, just trying to give mid one sort of a comeback into this game because they really need him to really start making things happen, take towers, take fights. Otherwise, they kind of have issues dealing with the Juggernaut.
Centaur is going to be going that Hood of Defiance first right here. So again, it makes up nice mitigation, but also then it helps with that farming, being the double edge and magic damage in itself. As he's getting a little bit low right here, but that's just understandable what it does. Oh, God, no, almost dead actually, but. Of course, he can't actually deny himself. There goes the kill of the Shrine. And Paladai also going to assist from it as well. Well, you figure the Blink Dagger to follow is probably going to be something KZU goes for here. It's too good to pass up on a hero like Centaur. Have that initiation, especially with the likes of Slaughter being pretty underfarmed here. So no Blink Dagger for him going to be coming anytime soon.
Yeah, I think Secret is content with just farming for now. The TA kind of wants to chill and get up to potentially her Blink Dagger as soon as possible. The Slaughter once is level 6. Like you said, KZU working towards that Hood. And I think Alliance, they really need to have a good start on these cores. I think if both teams are getting an even start, if they're farming about the same, then I think Secret is probably fine with that as Alliance. They need these cores to be ahead because their supports are so dependent on the cores that if your Silencer is falling behind, if your Juggernaut isn't taking towers and having the impact you wanted to, these supports can just become food very, very quickly for the TA. For the Ember Spirit, they get hunted down and just not really have any impact in these fights. They're very much dependent on the cores to do well. So I think it's very important that Alliance is enabling these cores early on. They're having good lanes, they're getting farm, or I think things can devolve pretty quickly for them. And Secret just have really, really good ways to bring those supports down.
Now, we saw an Ember Spirit earlier in the day. I'm blanking on the match specifically, but it went a similar build where he passed up the idea of the Veil of Discord, got the bots first. Now, I know MP is playing a short lane Ember Spirit here, to be fair, but what is your take on that, the fact that he's not getting that earlier on Veil?
I think going Veil this game is pretty mediocre. He's really the only magic damage hero on his team. They have this Centaur magic damage, they have a TA, they have a Slaughter, so they're pretty physical damage oriented. So I think it's much better that he gets these boots of travel early on, can let him push up the lanes a lot better and still participate in these fights. As well as the movement speed being really nice as far as just like staying out of range from these empower or from the RPs, or just maneuvering a little bit better in these fights. I think you almost always want to go for the boots of travel first on the safe lane Ember, or if you go for the Veil, then you end up being very, very immobile, and you also kind of have some slot issues.
Oh, so passing that up here, and yeah, we don't expect him to get it later on, right? If he's not going to get it earlier on, then it's probably not an item to expect to see.
Yeah, I don't think so, especially with him going for the Wand and the Aquila. You don't typically see all three of those items. It makes you very early game centric, and like we talked about, you kind of have slot issues. You don't really have room for the TP, or like you have to sell your bottle or your wand like early on. It's not really items you want to sell if you're buying like that early on. They're these value items, and if you're only having them for 3 or 4 minutes, it's not really worth it.
In your mind, is Battle Fury Ember Spirit not a thing anymore? Is that just not the same that it used to be, or is this still potentially something that could be possible?
I think you could maybe go with a couple items in, but I don't think it's ever really a first item. I don't think you can go Battle Fury. Boots of Travel Battle Fury. I think you could maybe go Battle Fury 3rd or 4th item, depending on the game, if you need a little more physical damage. And I think it's something you can maybe go for this game, as they, like we talked about, they are very, very physical damage oriented. And, you know, we also talked about Alliance kind of having catch issues. It's really what Ember wants. Ember wants a game where they don't really have a lot of lockdown. He's sort of free to do whatever he wants. So I think this is definitely a game on Ember where we could potentially go for physical damage and thrive.
Yeah.
They really only have the empower or the RP into the global to bring down this Ember.
Top tower, heavy push coming out, taking advantage of the helm of the Dominator. You got, of course, the healing ward on top of that. And they're going to easily get the tower push as a result. So fortification going to be used to delay it just a little bit longer, but I don't think they're stopping that by any means. Tries to deny it, not going to happen. Meanwhile, middle lane they come in. Arcane's Curse put out, but TA will just kind of walk it off. And he'll manage to survive as well. Speaking of TA, how has he kind of recovered? Well, he's starting the game on it. He's actually better than the Silencer currently as top lane. Stampede activated, trying to make a play right here. Going to go in, but no, not close enough. And Slaughter makes the escape there. But yeah, TA's definitely recovered, as he's basically neck and neck with the Silencer here.
Yeah, if you aren't able to kill this TA in her jungle or take her mid tower early on, then she's a hero that can just super easily catch up on farm. Farms the jungle faster than most heroes will farm the lane, even if they're getting all the last hits. So, like you said, is catching up quite well. Almost has the Blink Dagger already. I think the Centaur working towards his Blink Dagger at a reasonably decent clip. Stacked his camp up and has the hood, so they'll have several Blinks online reasonably soon. I think Alliance taking that top tower is quite important. Lets them push it in and then maybe make some rotations on this mid tower, which they really, really want to take.
Got the Empower here. What was that global silence, by the way?
Did he misclick?
He had to misclick, because yeah, I thought that was actually the Arcane's Crypt, but no, that was the global silence, and nothing was really happening from what I could tell. So I'm pretty sure that was a misclick there.
Yeah, that's pretty costly. With the TA Blink coming up, it gives them Secret a little bit of potential maybe to go for a move. As you can see, MP like just pushing in this bottom lane super far with Pilot Eye because they know that Alliance, they don't want to just start showing their heroes around the map. So the Secret will know where they're going, and they can just farm with the Blink Dagger and the Slaughter, and they just have so much pickup potential in Secret between like the Slaughter, the Centaur, this Ember Spirit. They have all these mobile heroes with a lot of lockdown between them. And Alliance, you know, they have these two cores that can sort of sit in lanes and farm them out. But other than that, they really don't want to be showing just these squishy core buffing supports in the CM and the Ogre. The Magnus wants to be off the map as he is really their only catch like we talked about. So the lanes are going to be a potential issue for Alliance, I think, as the game goes a little bit longer. The Juggernaut at least has the Empower, so he'll be able to shove them pretty quickly.
Bottom lane, we do have a possible fight break now right here. You see Fire Blast attempt from Ogre Magi as he's coming in the flank. Landed on the MP. Do they have more, though? No, they do not. Remnant away. Stampede also activated, but yes, they do, as the RP coming out. And now Ember Spirit, I don't think, is getting out of this one. Yeah, he uses the Remnants, but he can't actually port to them. So well played right there, and that's a nice gank to be had, obviously, for Alliance.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a misplay from NP. Instead of running away with the Stampede, or maybe just miscommunication, he had tried to TP out, and then right whenever the TP got canceled, the Stampede wore off instead of running or using that extra movement speed to get away with the Remnants. So a little bit of miscommunication. Didn't really realize the Stampede was going out, I think, and then he is going to go down. And off of that, they're going to lose the tier 2 tower, or the tier 1 tower. So they're trading for top at the very least, but I think Alliance pretty happy with that, bringing down the Ember Spirit and getting the tower. But the game has slowed down a lot, and I think that favors Secret quite a bit. That gives them time to get up these Blink Daggers. All the meanwhile, Puppy was farming that top lane, so already up to 1,600 gold on the Slaughter. Is going to be getting a pretty good timed Blink, especially considering he just had to sit mid and help the TA early on, wasn't really getting any kills. But getting that free lane, just sit there and farm, going to have the Blink at a very good clip. And that's really worrying for Alliance. They're using this time to just 5-man down these lanes, do whatever they can, but MP.
Yeah, he's in trouble, isn't he? He is going to be caught, actually. Getting a little too comfortable right there. I was actually looking at the top lane and pushing in. I mean, how did that even start? Did he just get silenced initially?
Yeah, I think he was just getting cheeky trying to farm at the wave, but Alliance is going to take advantage of this. They really want to punish this window where Secret isn't ready to fight yet. They can't start splitting the map, getting pickoffs, which they really want to do, and they have the HOD, the healing board. They're just going to start beating under this tier 3.
You see the Bloodlust, that Empower is up on a Juggernaut. The idea of the lineup, you see in comes mid 1 there on TA to kind of thwart them off, and they will save the tier 3 tower, just barely, but so can they kill the Harpy? Little benefit there with the cask still stunning him. Maybe get something out of it at the helm of the Dominator creep, but Gonna obviously, again, hold them off, save the T3, but still a victory and a sort for Alliance right there, Kiss, with the kill on the Ember Spirit just prior to that. They're grouped up, pushing out together. And Juggernaut with a Manta-style finish. I mean, he was clearing through jungle camps. Obviously, they made it a high priority to really have him farmed right here. Again, the idea of buffing up around him, too. Currently nothing queued up here, though. I wonder what his next option may be. I mean, is it Diffusal? Is it more the Scotty route, you think? What do you think Juggernaut's going for next?
We'll see. I think it's not the worst Diffusal game ever. We see most Juggernauts go for like the Maelstrom into Mjolnir and then more tanky items. After that, typically, it's Loda will do some sort of unorthodox builds on Jugs. I think a lot of times that we don't typically see. So I'm kind of curious what he goes for. Getting this Manta early on is huge, though. I think they really want to like start manning down these towers. And with that really early Manta, it, like super allows them to do that.
Oh, they're gonna catch MP once again. The global sign's coming out. Can he rev it in time? I don't think so. Again, the lockdown is just too much. Starting with that global silence, they just have way too much follow-up. The RP, I mean, sure, double ultimate used, but this is probably one of the bigger outside of TA targets that you're definitely happy to be killing here.
Yeah, and I think that original death on bottom, a little bit of miscommunication. They were able to take the tier 1, then another death by NP, they lose the tier 2, and it sort of snowballed into losing quite a bit of map control, having one tier 2 down as well as all their tier 1s. That very valuable mid tower going down, so it makes TA gives her considerably less control over these ancients. We'll be able to farm up a lot less quickly as she is working towards that death, so we'll have it pretty quickly, but you know, they wanted to split the map. They wanted to get pickoffs with the Slaughter, with the TA, while the Ember Spirit pushes lanes super quickly. Centaur can push lanes really quickly, but falling behind all this much, Alliance just has so much 5-man potential with the Joe getting the crazy early Manta. It was like 15, 16 minutes or something. They really don't have the kill potential whenever he has that Manta, so Alliance definitely wants to keep up the 5-man pressure. They're all sort of grouped around here, shoving out these lanes and not showing out too many heroes. They have a smoke on Hanskin, so it looks like they want to go and group up and fight. Because they're definitely very, very strong in these 5-man fights. They don't have the global, at the very least, and Secret trying to take advantage of that by going for this Roshan. I think this is really, really good, as they don't want to let Alliance take a team fight, get this Roshan, and then just sort of walk down a lane, which is really the best thing Alliance can do right now.
Nope. There's the pop out. MP, the first target. Okay, no global silence was mentioned, so maybe not as threatening. Roshan just about dead. He's going to be falling right there. He's just going to be picked up by mid-1. There's an anti-stall used from Loda. Getting caught by the Searing Chains. Counter crush, though, or on a Juggernaut, trying to chase him down. He pops the Omni Slash. A lot of jumps on MP. No one nearby to help him. And down goes Ember Spirit. Meanwhile, skewer back onto the Centaur. And that's going to be a double kill for Loda. The positioning just felt a little off there. MP, he honestly just seems on another page from his teammates somewhat. Pylite Knight also going to be picked. That's a 3 for nothing. I mean, they have the Aegis on TA, but definitely think a victory for Alliance there.
Yeah, and with those heroes going down, looks like Jug is going to be going for that Sky. He's going for that tanky route, but they're just going to be able to continue to 5-man. They're probably even going to get the tier 3 bottom as it is low, and then they'll have access to those shrines and get even more map control, as they still have the global up as well, so it's kind of hard for Secret to jump in, as they can always global potentially turn the fight around. Still have the RP as well. Alliance in a super good position right now to maybe threaten the Rax even.
This
is at least a tier 3, of course, as mentioned. Fortification coming out, delaying it a little bit longer. Okay, maybe not a tier 3. Wow, yeah, they're playing it very safe. Crush attempt going to be just short right there from Puppy. RP is ready to go for Magnus, though. You know that he is tempted. Want to go back in if they were going to commit to anything, but they do not. So they play it pretty safe, considering the circumstance. Again, they were fighting into an Aegis, though, I guess. So the last you want to do is really kind of throw yourselves at them, and then all of a sudden give them solid hope coming out of a fight there. So not going to be able to get shrines is the downside there.
Yeah, it was. I think it's very good, patient, safe play from Alliance. They know their 5-man is extremely strong right now. Secret really wants to get some random pickoffs. You know, Alliance sticking around a little too long on the high ground and then feeding away at kills is exactly what Secret wants. So I think showing very good restraint there, and that's what they need to do.
Oh, they're going to jump Magnus, going to maybe get the RP off, 4-staff away. The skewer, it's still not enough. Wow, mid-1 will finish him. Also the Sleight of Fist assisting. First coming out, Stampede offensively, trying to chase down the Silencer, but he's a little too far away. So that will be the only kill, and now the tier 2 tower being pressured by Secret. As there's a Blink Dagger now purchased by the Ember Spirit meanwhile. So Juggernaut, he's lining up ready to go, but without Magnus, they definitely feel a lot weaker when it comes to their initiation.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Secret wants to be doing. They want to start splitting these lanes, getting the pickups with the Slaughter. and they can jump in and blow heroes up extremely quickly. And that's what they wanted to do a lot earlier in the game, but feeding away some of those kills sort of gave Alliance a window to play this game. But you can see the Silencer really haven't seen too much impact. He's kind of just sat mid, farmed the lane, and they picked him as a lane counter to this TA, but whenever the TA can just retreat to jungle, farm up, and be just fine, it ends up being a little bit less effective than you want. As he only has the Hurricane Pike right now compared to TA's Blink, Deso, and BKB about to pick up on mid one. So they have so much map control on Secret now. They've taken a couple of these tier 2s, and they have a lot of considerably more mobile heroes than Alliance. So I think if Alliance isn't able to find a fight, if they aren't able to look for that 5-man team fight where they're able to, you know, like charge towards the buildings afterwards, then they're going to start getting out-farmed slowly, and Secret is very happy with that, as they have a lot of pickup potential as well whenever these lanes are starting to get shoved out.
MP almost found right there, but able to blink dagger away in time. That item he just got again, and Loda will just worry about more farm once again. He does have the Eye of Scotty queued up, already one of the ultimate orbs purchased. So almost there, being a little bit beefier and trying to help with the anti-kite factor as well. But what about Magnus, by the way? Again, going that 4-staff route, now the Yules on top of that. I know they're kind of old in this idea that Juggernaut's their massive damage, and then sure Silencer providing a bit, but even Silencer going the Shivas here with the Hurricane Pike first. But is it maybe, I guess what I'm getting at with Magnus, something like that Echo Saber, more of that semi-carry build, the Shadowblade Echo Saber style would have been better? Or?
I think whenever you have these two farm-dependent cores like the Silencer and the Jug, going for right-click build yourself ends up being too greedy. You try and take too much farm on the map, and you don't want to be showing on this Magnus as well because you are the only hero with catch. Going for these right-click items, showing on the map all the time, it gives Secret the freedom to just sort of walk around and do whatever they want on the map. So I think it's actually very good that he's going for this Arcanes, this sort of selfless build, the empower your cores instead of being a farmer himself.
Finally get the tier 3 tower. That's the third time going in for it, and third time's a charm here for Alliance. And again, they very patient team. This is what they're definitely known for as well. They get the tower kill, and now they know shrines are vulnerable, so they're going to go for said shrine here at the bottom at least, and make their way to the top eventually. So good objective control coming out from Alliance, and again, good patience being shown as we're talking about. Man, look at this net worth chart, though. It's about 5,000 lead at a point for Alliance, and it dipped down to almost even, and now kind of a little bit climbing back in their favor. But yeah, one more misstep could definitely start putting Secret ahead, as you're suggesting earlier, especially with this TA. Now with the BKB, 2,800 more gold saved up on her.
Yeah, I think sort of one of the only flaws in Secret's lineup is if they're not like doing really well, if they're not like quite far ahead, then they have a very, very hard time going high ground. They kind of need to pick off the need to get the jump.
Oh, that sucks. I feel for him. Because he was running around for a good 3 or 4 seconds right there on top of him with the invis, and it was like just wanted to find the right moment. And that was not the right moment.
Yeah, he actually body blocked him a little bit, so MP knew and remnanted away, or blinked. I forget which one he did, but yeah, I ended up blocking him a little bit. Wanted to time it with the global afterwards. I think maybe waited a little bit too long. I think he could have just RP'd, and the global being 5 seconds, they would have had time to bring him down. So once again, maybe a little bit of miscommunication, but the Abra lives, they use the RP. But they are all 5-man in this lane. Secret not super set up, and they may try and take this tower, but they do take it. So the last shrine, and they're going to be forced to come back as TA is split pushing. Secret, I think those kills early on, the MP gave up, losing a lot of that map control. It hurts Secret quite a bit. There's a window after that where they can sort of move out on the map and look for pickoffs, but now they have the Scotty on the Ember Spirit, on the Jonas fan.
He missed the crush, and even if he hits that, though, I don't think they're killing the Magnus right there. But yeah, the Scotty on the Ember Spirit. TA, again, he has that butterfly queued up. In fact, has the Eagle slung in his backpack here.
Yeah, I think Alliance's 5-man now is just so strong. Having the Scotty, having this Magnus, their high ground defense is just almost impossible to push into, with the Silencer having the Hurricane Pike as well, so the Pike people back.
Oh, wow, he's popping the BKB. He's being chased down, that's why. And Lodo's going to get kited meanwhile, and so has to end up turning around. Handskin, unfortunately, not the same way to be able to run away. Scott with the searing chains, but Blink Dagger away from the TA, realizing that they were committing Foley, and there's that global silence, unfortunately, resulting in nothing there for Alliance. A nice bait out.
Yeah, they were looking for maybe some kills on the end of it with the TA. She was looking to bring down Jonas fan. Hanskip has so much armor, as well as the Solar Crest on that Ogre, and they're actually going to smoke up and look for a fight.
Still Maiden going in, has that freezing fill ready to go, but look at the retreat from Secret, being patient, waiting for that spin to wear off if anything. RP is good to go for Magnus, so perhaps is definitely aware of that. In fact, Ember Spirit, he's already porting out. Does have a Remnant down, so could come back in if need be, but no, they're just going to simply avoid Alliance right now. They like the idea of the split push here between the TA and the Ember Spirit. They feel like that's going to be their way to win here.
Yeah, he's actually going for the butterfly in mid one, and they really want to wait for this next Aegis. That's sort of their win condition right now, is getting the Aegis, getting the butterfly, and then maybe trying to break high ground with that. Because if they don't have those items, then it becomes just super hard for them to break the high ground. And I don't think this is a game where they want to go late game, super late game either. Versus Magnus versus Juggernaut with a super strong team fight of the global, and the Juggernaut just as farmed as he is, it's very, very hard for them to actually break the high ground. The Ember Spirit going for this blink Yules, so the Yules actually lets it purge off the silences and play a little bit more aggressively, but it's not like we talked about, he's not going for more of a physical damage transition. He's not incredibly farmed right now, a little bit behind the silencer, so I think Secret, they want to get the butterfly, they want to play around this Roche pit and use that timing to potentially break high ground right now.
Gonna go in, the freezing fill button, oh, he's able to blink dagger first. Hoping it would cancel it, but he gets the animation off and gets away. After the Yule Scepter initially comes out right there. So Yule Scepter in general, pretty popular this game. We talk about the Ember Spirit. Slaughter has one of his own.
Dire's bottom tower is
Was
under
there
attack.
another one actually? I think I saw 3 of them. I guess just those 2, but still. Clearly coming into play here.
Yeah, you don't want to let the silence do its work. It's also very nice versus the Frostbite versus the glaives of, I mean not the Arcane Curse from Silencer. Several things you could purge off, as well as the silence. So just in general a good Yule's game. We can see Secret just continuing to split out these lanes and play around this Roche pit. They really, really want that next Roche on it. It's super important for both teams. If Alliance can get it, then it really nerfs Secret's win condition, which is getting that getting the Aegis and potentially breaking high ground off of a pick off from the Slaughter or the Centaur. And if Alliance gets it, or if Secret gets it, that's definitely what they want. They want to, like we talked about, they want to try and win with this Aegis. And they see it's up. NP actually forces Limp down to bottom, who still has the TP up, but this Roshan dies super quickly.
Yeah, that's insane. It's going to be a 10-second Roshan kill, basically, at this point. Now, they do get a pick off elsewhere on the Witch Doctor the top lane, so you can almost kind of be in a sacrificial lamb right there, a bait of sorts, but here we go. The Aegis up, going to jump on it, load it. In comes the RP, though, from Jonathan Fan, and the Shockwave on top of that. The Blade Fury, the Silence obviously being used as well, and down goes Slaughter, but mid one, he's still feeling pretty comfortable. Going to hide in that melt for the time being. He has the Aegis, remember, going to be popped right here. Jonathan Fan will live in the background. Omniside's bouncing around with the freezing field put down. They did pick off Ember Spirit, and now the melt for mid one, but can he actually escape from this?
They have no detection.
Do they really have no detection? Wow. The Shockwave maybe? No, he blinks, and he's going to actually live. I mean, that's just that's definitely a bruise at the end right there. But
he just brings out dust.
Just got it. I mean, they won the fight, but that definitely stinks a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Losing the Aegis like that is really not what you want. And NP's impact is really just starting to fall off. Only having this Yules and Blink. Juggernaut is not a hero that cares about an Ember Spirit with just this minimal amounts of magic damage. They have the Global, the Silencer who can just pike the Ember away, and is actually pretty tanky now. I think Alliance is pretty happy with their position, and now Secret, losing that Aegis, they want to just play around, they want to try and get these pickoffs, and take these small skirmishy fights where they can get the jump. If they're not doing that, then the team fight from Alliance is just too strong on them.
Oh, Handscan is kind of just sitting here. He's a lot of evasions coming out actually with that Solar Crest. He will end up dying, but in the background, you see Juggernaut will make his way out, realizing that there's more there than there was in the beginning, so not going to leave himself vulnerable. So that will be a support pick at least onto the Ogre. But again, the Solar Crest, as well as those drums. So quite the unique build actually on the Ogre Magi here. With what he's gone, but a lot of utility support. It kind of fits the theme though. They're going to a lot of these heavy R items and support. You know, you got Limp even once again on the Silencer with that Shivas as we were talking about.
Yeah, they want to make sure they can survive that initial jump from Secrets. As they're continuing to hunt around, they want to look for these pickoff kills so they can maybe go high ground as MP's pushing in top. So they have a place where they can go if they do take a scrappy fight.
Oh, wow, gonna force staff over the ledge, but mid one still putting in those right clicks. That Shivas is mitigating plenty, but not enough damage. He didn't really get the support from him. Stampede, meanwhile, activated the Omni Slash on top of him the whole time. They do get the pickoff as well, and a Crystal Maiden in the background. Now Loda could be in a little bit of trouble as here comes mid one with the auto attacks. The side blades used. Centaur is picked up with the spin though. And Jonas a fan helping to finish him off with the RP, but MP on the chase. Loda still healing up though with the heal ward. Magnus will end up falling the auto attack. Not in time as he blink daggers forward first. And actually will get away right there, but 3 for 2 number-wise.
Yeah, mid one is just destroying everyone. This butterfly pickup is so good. It makes it so that Juggernaut really can't just bring down his refraction ticks immediately. So he's able to blink away a little bit more freely, having those refraction ticks always up and the blink not getting canceled. Mid one's just going totally ham. They bring down several heroes in that fight. And that's exactly what Secret need. They need to continue to find these scrappy fights. Mid one have the freedom to go around and look for the heroes he wants, because if this RP goes off, they RP the TA, and he just gets right-click down immediately, then the rest of their heroes don't really have any damage. So it's pretty important that they enable mid one, that he has a really good time in these fights, because he is basically all of their damage.
Yeah, I gotta say, as far as MP is concerned, I mean, he really does feel underwhelming with how much he truly has. I mean, he just got the Maelstrom delivered, so obviously some benefit there. But again, it's really been much more of the defensive mindset, as stressed earlier with that Yields pickup, especially to go with the blink on top of the bot skin. No Veil even earlier on, so not necessarily amping any damage from that. But again, has the Maelstrom now, so his right clicks will be a little bit better. But you do look at the net worth, it really is a race between Juggernaut and the TA. Juggernaut even slightly more ahead with that Skullbasher finish and the Abyssal Blade to come next here. So definitely having that favoritism as far as his farm is concerned. Overall, though, I mean, the net worth chart, again, this is a very even game, slightly going in favor of Secret overall, but it doesn't mean too much at this point. Still could be anyone's game, most undoubtedly here.
Yeah, and I think this game is going to sway back and forth. There's some like pretty interesting timings. Alliance is going to get really, really, really tanky, and their high ground defense is going to be very good. I think it's going to be super hard for Secret to really do anything. Come a few minutes, whenever they get, you know, the Abyssal Blade, which they have now on the Juggernauts. The Magnus has the RP now, and I think Secret's in a pretty rough spot as is, but I think as the game goes a little bit longer, the supports of Alliance start to become just food for this TA, and it's going to sway back and forth between, I think, Alliance heroes being very squishy, and then, you know, if they get to that point where they're very tanky, then Secret isn't able to blow up these heroes, and I think their team fight is just so superior. As long as Jonathan Fan hits it even half-decent RP, that I think Alliance can just sort of mop up these team fights.
Yeah, he has been kind of 50-50, to be honest, but obviously he had the big one in a couple of fights prior to this that really set Alliance up in a good spot after that Roshan kill that was here at the top side. And where Secret felt a little too confident maybe with that Aegis, but the big RP kind of not only stalled some things, but set up the turn for Alliance. So I'm 16-9 right now. Okay, not the most active game when it comes to hero kills. A lot of avoiding at this point, but goes back to it still being a game that either team most certainly has a chance in. The Shadow Blade being worked on by Magnus, by the way. So we talked about the idea of possibly that earlier, more so for initiation purpose, also getaway tool if necessary, but it'll help us with a little bit of damage output too. And then you got the Abyssal Blade, though, finished on Juggernaut. Talk about a target that's so scary. I mean, even just these items alone is scary, but then you throw in the Empower, the Bloodlust, so much amp damage coming out. So and they're going to feel confident enough to start sieging now, it looks like. Here in the middle lane at least, or get the creep wave up there.
Yeah, they can use the spin to maybe bring down the buildings a little bit. Secret not super set up right now, so it's actually going to be able to free to walk up to the high ground, and they're going to get these range racks.
No TP on TA. That's why. I mean, she has one, but it's on cooldown, obviously. So that's definitely why. Crystal made it. Ooh, got crushed right, and she got 4 staff, though. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and Secret want, I mean, Alliance want to continue to play aggressive. They want to use the space where the Juggernaut is just basically unkilled while having the Scotty and the Abyssal Blade. They want to push that advantage as much as possible. And try and potentially chip down these racks like we saw them do there. They're very, very strong right now. They have a smoke, and it looks like they're going to... Oh, they don't actually have one. Okay, so they're just going to camp around this area, keep both of these lanes, and then farm up Secret's jungle. Maybe try and get some of that slight net worth advantage back into their favor, as they do sort of have all their eggs in this Juggernaut basket. So while he's very, very strong, they want to abuse that as much as possible and try and take a significant advantage. They do get the range racks, but at this point, not really super meaningful.
Slaughter just kind of poking the bear a little bit right there as he harasses Loda, but of course not too concerned. In fact, Loda's trying to run them down, but again, poking the bear, able to get away though for the time being. But once again, going to kind of abuse the fact of sending the creeps up middle lane and perhaps work towards the bottom where that melee racks is ready to go. But putting some pressure now on the tier 3. As Another Bloodlust applied to the Juggernaut, but again, that Abyssal Blade ready to go. You got the split push top lane coming out from the TA. Trying to work on that eventual Bloodthorn you'd figure even, as he's getting that Orchid queued up, but it's a little bit off of that, about 3,200 gold saved up currently. But yeah, you're definitely right that they've been all in the basket here of Loda on this start. And I kind of feel like that's Alliance strategy as a whole. Really, no matter even the draft, it's kind of the 4-1 idea. You know, you really buff up Loda here as the carry, and you're kind of playing that supporting cast around him. I mean, it kind of been looking at far, he's just taking everything for the most part. I mean, Silencer's been able to do decent, but yeah, he's 12,000 less net worth than that Juggernaut, so.
Yeah, it's just not a hero that can farm lane super reliably. Because Secret has so much pickle potential, it sort of forces Alliance to walk around as 5 heroes and not able to farm near as much as maybe they'd like to. With a Magnus, the Bloodlust, and potential to farm around the map that gives you. The Secret actually split pushing a decent amount themselves, getting the tower bottom, so they're going to have access to these shrines. Mid one immediately books it towards them. Potentially going to try and bring this down.
Yeah, nice tier 3 tower kill, and yep, into the shrine. He's just going to do it by himself. He has more than enough damage to do so. MP, meanwhile, it's a Searing Chainsaw to kind of protect the shrine kill from happening, or to happen, that is, so hopefully there. And Ember Spirit now going to port elsewhere. That Octarine core is actually almost finished. She is level 21 now. Is TA 25 yet, by the way? No, she's 24. Looks like at this rate, should be the first one to hit level 25. And then you got, I'm guessing, the +3 refraction instances here, or what?
Yeah, I don't think there's any scenario in which you ever don't take that. It's super nice. The Juggernaut, especially not having the MKB actually going for a butterfly of his own, so opting to be even more tanky instead of having a little bit more kill potential on the TA, I think is the correct choice. He doesn't really need that MKB, because if the TA is getting RP, then she's going to get her Fractious charges burnt down almost definitely, and then will just die extremely quickly to the physical damage. And also having that cleave will be able to hit on one of the other targets, so not really caring about the evasion too much onto the TA. So I like that, going the butterfly on the Juggernaut instead of the MKB. But yeah, I think you go for the 3 refraction charges. I think mid one's been playing extremely well this game, only going down the one time mid to the Ignite and the Arcane Curse very early on in the game, but is, after having kind of a rough start, has farmed very well, has been super elusive, hasn't gone down anymore. And it's sort of Secret's like glaring hope right now. They can continue to split push, pull Alliance around the map, and they can maybe find some pickoffs, even though Alliance is continuing to sort of stay as 5 as of now and heading to the Roshan pit.
There you go, the cheese, making it a little more tempting right here, and immediately Juggernaut starts going away with the auto attacks. Of course, that Empower persisting with the Bloodlust again, all the buffs, and it's going to happen pretty damn quickly. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? They catch Magnus, actually. That's what was going on, so going to give up the Roshan kill. Could it be stolen? Oh, that was close right there. It's going to be picked up, though. Now the bottom lane, though, they need to push it in. Looks like the decision from the Radiant side at least, but Hans going to be stunned in the front ground. That's a very vulnerable spot. He will end up falling. Double kill for mid one. No buyback, by the way, on Magnus. Slaughter caught off to the side there from Loda. Uses the Yules, but that's going to delay the inevitable. Although the Stampede comes out, the Omni-Slash bouncing around KG, though. He has that axe, mitigating some good damage right there. The Glimmer Cape used as well, trying to simply live through this. And he actually will end up living to spin away from Loda. So the Rax will stay alive throughout it all. And now mid one, he's not out of the woods just yet, actually.
Yeah, no detection again.
No detection. No dust on them, huh? I guess Magnus was the one that maybe had it. No, he didn't even have it on him, so. Man, they really need that dust there. I guess they have a gem on Ogre, okay.
Yeah, I don't think they would have killed the TA regardless. He had 5 or 6 refraction ticks still up and the butterfly, so. Yeah, they go in, they get a couple kills here and there, but the Juggernaut really is just so unkillable. It's almost impossible to bring him down. He could just stand on the front lines. Secret, you can see them just constantly jumping around, killing the support cast, the CM, going down here and there, the Ogre. I don't think actually, did he go down? Okay, yeah, so he died and then bought back in that fight. So yeah, Secret just jumping around and killing the supporting cast heroes of Alliance, but it's very hard for them to bring down this Juggernauts. 7-0 and 4. He's just so farmed. Secret really don't have the most damage. The TA is definitely not anything to scoff at, but whenever you have the 25 armor, the butterfly, and 3k HP on this Juggernaut, can dodge attacks with the Manta, it's just very hard to bring him down.
Double damage rune TA, dropping the second and final shrine here on the side of Alliance, so well played, and all shrines on either side have now been destroyed, actually. So outer towers in general, not much to work with for either team. Split push of MP. Pushing out the top lane before quickly getting back to the Remnant. And he does have that Octarine core finish, by the way. 2,600 gold saved up on him. But yeah, a big note about last fight, too. Again, picking off Magnus like they did with no buyback. Without Magnus, they really just lose so much. Not only with the Empower buff, but of course the RP initiation. Really is their only initiation once again. So definitely need him if they want to be able to be successful in said fight. So that's why Team Secro is definitely feeling very confident pushing into the base despite just giving up the Roshan kill right there. So, but again, the Rax staying alive. And Alliance now moving on through with a Shadow Blade. I'm Jonas a fan. They want to wrap around bottom lane. They'll love to kill this TA, of course. But doesn't look like they're going to catch him.
Yeah, this game is all about finesse for Secret, playing around the Alliance heroes, dodging them around the map, split pushing the lanes like we can see them doing now, and then trying to find pickoffs here or there. Their fights need to be played very, very cleanly. They have to get good jumps in and out, blowing up key heroes, and just doing that over and over again, not getting caught by the RP. It's very execution-based. The rest of this game is going to be from Secret. They didn't hit that window where they just have this unkillable TA. They get the Aegis, and they just sort of run at you and take these team fights for free. Because of losing some kills early, losing some map control, and now it's a lot of just about finesse for Secret, whereas Alliance, I think their fights are a lot easier to execute. They can have just this Juggernaut up in the front line, hitting buildings, hitting heroes, and the Magnus always off. Out of vision has the Shadow Blade now, as also makes it even easier to hit that RP. And if Secret ever makes a mistake, he hits that RP, and they just all kind of evaporate. So I think Secret definitely has the harder late game to execute here.
Looks like Ember Spirit is able to make the initial escape and going to keep on going. Maybe an RP. Oh, the Eels. Here's a chance. Remnant again, though. He keeps on going. He's just so mobile. And he will eventually make the getaway. Middle lane, they try to go onto Centaur instead, but obviously he reacts too and just simply can't catch anyone. But they say, you know what, we're here. Might as well go for the push. There's a crush to stall a little bit. The split push bottom lane coming out between TA as well as the Ember Spirit, but taking advantage of his Alliance and go into the base, say, you know what, you're going to have to defend, guys. So, but it's a pressure on the melee. Rax, crush attempt, going to miss right there. Loda looking to go back in, but the Eel Scepter throws him in the air.
Healing Ward's still up.
It is. Getting plenty of damage, healing them up. The freezing field being casted, but the Force Staff away. And actually, Slaughter will be fine, so not the greatest freezing field coming out. TA, meanwhile, he's wrecking the Rax in the base back there. He got the bottom, and now he's going for the middle tier 3 tower. So the stall's actually working out pretty well. Although the melee Rax in the middle lane will end up on the range Rax. We have a bit of a race on our hands now between these two teams. But Alliance, they are going to try to fall back. TP's coming out.
That's exactly what they want.
Yeah, we're going to catch them somewhat. The global silence is used, though. Juggernaut now going back in. The Omni Slash, and he cuts through MP. Gets the kill on him in. He does have a buyback. Mid one in the background. Going to blink forward, though. Try to chase, but a nice Fire Blast multicast coming out, although Puppy will stall them a little bit more. Magnus in the background. He has an RP still, by the way. Double kill coming out for Loda as he picks off Slaughter, and now they catch Centaur as well. Summer Cape is not going to save him, most likely. RP is still ready to go. He wants mid one, of course. He's hunting for him, but not going to get the angle. And Alliance able to hold this fight, and they're going to be able to start pushing in now.
Yeah, they have no way to kill this healing where everybody's healing immediately back up to full. MP's trying to ride in the base at the very least. The melee Rax coming close to about half HP, but Huntsman's going to go back and try and slow this down a little bit. They're going to get 2 sets here.
Again, they're just playing the game of stall. The RP is actually going to whiff right there, unfortunately. Now maybe one pops BKB. Go for the turret kills. Load up. Will fall back again. And somebody ported back. That would be the Ogre Magi. Oh, did the MP get too far up? He did somewhat, but he's able to remnant out once again. The stall game attempting, but it ends up being 2 sets of Rax going down in favor of Alliance, and the middle Rax does stay alive for them as far as defensively. Ultimately, they come out on top there.
Yeah, it's just so hard for Secret to fight. They have to play these fights so carefully, constantly going in and out. You can see Puppy probably blink stun 10, 15 times in that fight, but it doesn't really matter because they can never ever full commit. They always have this RP to counter initiate, they have the global, and they can't 100-0 this Juggernaut almost ever. If they ever blink in on the TA, then he just gets RP'd, and they waste that time where the Juggernaut's stunned, and then Juggernaut comes out and just kills everybody. He's so farmed 9-0-6, no deaths on Loda, and has the moon shard as well, so it's basically 6 slotted on this Juggernaut. Just has the boots to travel 2 that he can upgrade. It's just extremely hard for Secret to take these fights.
MP really wants that kill on Crystal, made it, and he's going to get it actually. Well played right there. Burn is successful. So Crystal's dead for a minute. No buyback, but again, that's not really the prime target. They're like, oh, Crystal's dead. Let's go ahead and push now. So going to be the case necessarily. Loda, you mentioned basically full inventory. Bots level 2 is pretty much the only upgrade that he could do. There is the backpack. I guess what? I mean, a refresher in the backpack could potentially be decent to refresh that Omni Slash.
Yeah, I think that sort of gets into hypotheticals, though. It makes once the fights are getting to that sort of a stage, all these backpack theoreticals, it doesn't really do too much in reality, because it's a lot about initiation, about making sure you don't feed away these heroes. I think the trading racks, all of Secret is a racks down that what ended up happening in the trade. I think they're not actually too sad about this. I think all these weird racks trades going down where both teams start losing buildings all over the place, a lot of split pushing. I think that actually favors Secret. So even though they're down to barracks, I don't think they're too sad about how that trade actually went down, because they want to create chaos. They want to create scenarios where the Alliance splits up, where the cores get isolated and they're able to actually find these pickoffs. And I think that's sort of what Secret has to do. They have to create chaos. They have to make Alliance misplay. You know, maybe somebody TPs back that wasn't supposed to, and they're able to find kills, able to separate heroes. So I think, you know, despite the number of racks being in favor of Alliance, I don't think Secret is actually too sad about like the way that whole exchange went down, all that chaos that happened.
A lot of pings coming out, but again, the very careful play continues. You do have Alliance charging on out. Crystal Maiden kind of leading the way. Magnus as well up here, but just not able to reach onto anyone. TP's being used, and MP will just keep pushing again the top lane. He's been sitting on that Maelstrom, and I believe he just bought something else being delivered, actually. Oh yeah, that's right. It's a full Lincolns that he had being worked on this game. So again, the Ember Spirit build, he's not necessarily dishing out crazy damage, I guess, but the idea that he's split pushing, staying alive is definitely real. And that's going to be their win condition, perhaps, going back to. So makes sense with the Lincoln's pickup, you think?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit necessary. With the Juggernaut having the Abyssal Blade, he can always just get jumped and blown up in the duration of that stun. They can global afterwards, or, you know, RP even following up. So I think the Lincolns makes it a little bit harder for him to get picked off on the map. The Juggernaut can't just kill him solo, so he can push out these lanes a little bit more aggressively. If he sees the Magnus, knows he can't really die to anything else. So I think the Lincoln's pickup is pretty necessary. But yeah, that's sort of the issue with this Ember versus Juggernaut matchup as the game goes later and later. You know, Ember versus a lot of carries can do a whole lot of work with this magic damage build, because they're forced to BKB, and then once their BKB is down, they can just get kited nonstop by getting perma chains. Now that he is 25 with that Ocarina, but Juggernaut's a different story, always has the spin, so you can't really ever get to that stage where, oh, I forced out spin. He doesn't have, you know, spin for 50 seconds, has a considerably shorter cooldown. And, you know, it's one of the few heroes that actually does well versus Ember Spirit late game.
I mean, can they catch up P here? Like this, oh god, he's got a Remnant. Actually, they know he's here, the Yule Scepter. Yeah, they will be able to catch him. He doesn't have a buyback, by the way. He's going to be silenced up with the Global Silence right there. Can they get enough follow-up damage? He has the RP in case. It's not even necessary. No buyback for Ember Spirit. Now, they did get the Aegis in the meantime. So there's a positive, I guess you could take from it. In fact, who got the Aegis? It looks like Centaur, yeah.
Yeah, he has a Refresher Orb as well in base. He doesn't have it on his hero, which is a little unfortunate. So they have the double Aghanims, potentially stall out for 2 initiations.
TA got caught with the Abyssal Blade, but he pops BKB. The Stampede activated again with that axe. A lot of mitigation. Lotus Orb coming out for the Centaur, reflecting a little bit, but not going to be enough mitigation. He does fall. There's that Aegis. Being popped, though, so they at least should be able to get the turn kill onto him. Try to get the Witch Doctor as well. Not going to happen. The Centaur will fall again.
Good
and
night.
He, too, is staying dead. You're right. He just bought that, as you said, the Refresher, but unfortunately he didn't even have it delivered. These timings are not looking good for Secret.
Yeah, Juggernaut just does so much damage. You can see the TA was able to hit the Juggernaut like 2 or 3 times, and it only did like 200 damage. The Jug just has so much armor with the Solar Crest onto him as well. It's constantly there. From Houndskin, having the Vlads, they have so much armor. This TA can only do so much damage whenever you're all physical, all single target hero, and they have all these armor items, but Alliance actually, they're just standing.
Yeah, and might as well. I love this decision. Again, either they know 100% or they don't. They've made up the buybacks, but obviously that's not the case. They're going right for it to finish the game right here, right now. Pylai now, mid one does port back. Realizing that he's not going to win that race, they got to fight. BKB's popped. This is the last stand right here. Out comes the Abyssal Blade stun. He's dropping half-life. That damage of Loda is way too intense. And it looks like they may have just done it. Trying to get the Shrine to help with the crease push forward as well. He's going to spin through as the buyback, of course, for mid one. Jumping back in. Puffy's also vulnerable. Look at mid one taking it. GG's being called, though. Alliance takes the game. They just got the Aegis, yet those deaths obviously set up the victory for Alliance.
Yeah, I think those early deaths on NP, losing those towers early on, losing the map control, and having the Juggernaut just have all this free space to farm up cost Secret like so much as the game went later. They really needed to hit that timing where they could start getting these pickoffs, get TA and early Aegis, get them that first one and be able to use it, push around the map. But things did not go the way they wanted. After losing a couple of those kills, they lose map control and they kind of miss their timing window there. And they try and play this finesse game as the game goes later, but it's just so hard, and the ball is definitely in Alliance court.
Yeah, that was impressive to see with that farm on Juggernaut, and again the supporting cast around the building the draft around him, of course. So that was no doubt the whole idea with it, and obviously the execution was fine enough in the end to lead to a victory. So Alliance getting the better of Team Secret right here, and now that puts Alliance at 2-0. And Team Secret, again, one of the favorites here out of the European region, no doubt. They are now 1-1 as a result of that. So does CCNC, do they go panic mode now? Are they in trouble? Or is Secret just fine, you think?
I think they should still do just fine. I don't know who their first game is against, but Alliance is one of the tougher teams for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're too shaken up if you lose to them. You definitely want to make it to the playoffs for sure. But I think there are a few weaker teams in the EU region that they should have. They'd be quite favored in. So I don't think they're in too big of a pickle here. And I think Puppy, obviously a very experienced captain, a lot of older school players, Pile I guess they do have a considerable amount of new blood. KZU is obviously very new, MP pretty new, mid one less so. But yeah, I think Secret will be fine. I think they should make the playoffs. I think most people still expect them to.
Oh yeah, no, definitely still expecting that. I think this is more impressive than anything for Alliance, obviously not only with the victory, but again, this is a team that has been struggling a lot lately in tournaments, and it definitely has been not necessarily maybe living up to this brand name that we've known to know with Alliance, and obviously with their recent success. I know it's a completely new roster of sorts, but this was, like I said, a chance for them to kind of prove that even with this newer roster of sorts, that they're definitely a team to reckon with in the European region. So they start 2-0 now. Got to be feeling good about definitely a bigger victory over Secret, and we'll see how they continue that momentum and what's going to be our next match here on this stream, at least, of Alliance versus Cloud9. Another solid opponent. Cloud9 currently, I believe at least they're 1-0. I think they might be 2-0 with their, yeah, they did defeat also Bean Boys as well. So a couple of easier matches maybe initially, so we'll see how they match against Alliance now in their next game. But that we're going to go on break, guys. Once again, a short break. With that said, I'm Breaky CPK, joined by CCNC. Stay tuned. Our next game of Alliance versus Cloud9 coming up shortly.